Okay, so welcome everybody. I think the majority of you here are probably from Connecting Consciousness Africa. My name is Viv and I am the coordinator for Connecting Consciousness Africa. I just need to tell everybody that I am not representative of selling the product in any way, shape or form, or I haven't even sampled it. So I can't even say from experience what we're going to be hearing this evening, but I have listened to Kerry Cassidy's video interview that I did send out on the newsletter to all of my Connecting Consciousness members in the last couple of weeks. And the main reason that we've asked Dr. Ragu and Dr. Presser to be here from Nano Soma is that around about the beginning of the year, the people in South Africa especially started hearing about this incredible product overseas and sharing the interviews that they'd seen around the world. And we've all been looking for a solution for the spike proteins, and people have had the vaccine, whether they know the consequences or not, or starting to realize the consequences and are now stuck with regrets. The shedding situation of the spike proteins has been on the tip of everybody's tongues, and we've been discussing various products and looking for ways to help each other, ways to help ourselves. And then I got chatting in one of our meetings with our Connecting Consciousness members, and a couple of them mentioned that they had actually gotten in contact with Dr. Ragu and Dr. Presser and were now importing Nano Soma into South Africa. So we thought it's going to be very exciting if people were keen from our group to have a Q&A session about this product and to have a little bit more information about it. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ragu and Dr. Presser. If you can just give us a wave so that we can see where you are.
Thank you, Viv. Firstly, let me kick off. And if I could ask all of those people who have their microphones open, like Kennedy and one or two others, it would be very helpful if you could mute your microphones because the noise is cutting across the recording. So Viv, thank you for the opportunity. Please call me Richard, and please call Dr. Raghavan Ragu. It's much simpler and neither of us are formal about things. And thank you for the opportunity to join you and talk a little about this incredible product that Ragu has developed and shared with the world. It is a profound product, and perhaps I should begin by providing a little context, if you will. What Ragu has done is take a common food substance, which is polycosanol. It's found in many of our unrefined foods, and has basically taken that and turned it into a nano emulsion. And as he explains, when you take salt or sugar and turn those into a nano emulsion, which is basically dissolving them in water, the results are predictable. You know what you're going to get. But when you turn polycosanol into a nano emulsion, the results are unpredictable. The results are truly profound, a profoundness that was understood by our ancestors at least 5600 BC when it was documented in the Rig Veda. And it's been effectively hidden from us for, in many ways, since that time, until it's re-emerging. In my opinion, there are no accidents in the middle of the emergence of these jabs, as I would call them, because they cannot be vaccines, as this is emerging in the world. And the evidence, the research has been done to support all of this. And so let's say at the outset that Nano Soma does not treat or heal any health condition. What it is doing is triggering the body to heal itself. I think this is a very important principle that underpins everything that we'll be talking about today. And so it is in that context, it's important to understand what this incredible product does. So that's just a little introduction. And I will hand the ball back to whoever wishes to pick it up. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Richard. Would also just like to introduce Shafika and Patrick, if you could please give us a wave. They are from Nano Soma Africa. And this is the reason we are all together and hopefully celebrating finding something that we've all been looking for. I think we've all had a listen to Kerry Cassidy's interview where Richard and Raghu really went into the history of the product. So for those of you who don't know the background, it was quite an extensive background interview that you did. For those of you who would like to know a bit more about the personal background of Richard and Raghu, if you could please listen to Kerry Cassidy's video. But what I would like to get into with everybody here is a Q&A, because when we first started hearing about the product at the beginning of the year and where we are now, 9 months later, is starting to turn into a bit of a global catastrophe and nightmare. So I've got 3 questions that I would like to ask Raghu. So as I mentioned in the beginning, the big thing on the people of Africa that I've been speaking to is tips of their tongues. And what you alluded to when you spoke to Kerry as well is that Nano Soma actually nullifies the effects of the vaccine and the spike proteins. Could you elaborate a little bit for us on that?
Yeah, so what it is what Nano Soma does is it's a molecule which is 2 billion years old before life evolved. So he's like the godfather of everything that followed, the DNA and RNA that followed. So what happens is when you take Nano Soma, it highlights the body. That means it throws light on the body and alerts the immune systems to things that shouldn't be there. Because one of the things it does is it binds to something called the vitamin D receptor. We have 23 chromosomes, and vitamin D receptor is in chromosome 12. And what vitamin D receptors do is they're basically a cleansing agent. So they remove things the body shouldn't have. For example, when you sneeze, people say it's a disease. It's not a disease. It's an immune reaction to expel things that shouldn't be in the body. Same way, when you have feces or urination or sweat, these are all how the body expels things. So what this does is it activates a vitamin D receptor and which throws light on the system. So, for example, the vaccines or even drugs, a lot of them, they shouldn't be there because the body doesn't recognize them from evolution. This product is a product of evolution. A synthetic drug or a vaccine or some other toxic material did not evolve. It's man-made. So it'll expel those things and keeps the body, free of these things. So that's how it works. It cleanses the system. And I would say it brings the original blueprint of life to and shows the body, this is what I taught you 2 billion years ago. This is what you need to have a normal functioning. Anything that it's not in my list, you need to eliminate. And that's how it happened. Be it spike protein or be it vaccine or whatever, it is going to stop it. It's going to minimize the effect in a worst case scenario. In a good case scenario, it will make sure it neutralizes it. This is the role of the vitamin D receptor actually, to build immunity. So it's a cleansing system. It cleanses the body of toxic materials. And that's how the immune system is restored. So I think that is the general definition of how it will work.
Great, thank you so much, Raghu. I find it quite ironic that the pure glacial waters of Switzerland make up the main proponent of what is going to be this incredible substance that produces the vitamin D in the body. I find that quite...
No, I want to explain something about the water in Switzerland and how we got to that place. I think I mentioned briefly. When I started this work, this product is mentioned in the Rig Veda. They call it Soma or whatever in a temple in India, South India. Now, one of the words they used in defining this product, they used the word pristine. In Sanskrit in India, it's the only language in the world which has around 260 or 80 words, 280 words that describe water. Most languages have one. Maybe there's ice and there's water, maybe steam. Beyond that, nothing. In Sanskrit, there are 280 words. Now, when the word the pristine came about, this is when I had to talk to a few Vedic scholars. Vedic scholars. I asked them, what does this word mean in this context? And he said, this word means the melting snows of Mount Kailash, where it's supposed to be the birthplace of Shiva, from where the Ganges supposedly begins. And I think Richard has been there in 2017 or 2018 to Manasarovar. Unfortunately, it's in China and we can't go there. So therefore, I chose Switzerland. That's how we got into Switzerland, the glaciers in Switzerland. And the second thing we use water is, if you look at our body, 70% of our body is water. But if you calculate this in terms of organic molecules, there's something called Avogadro number. You can look it up. 99.8 to 99.9% of our body is organic, is water molecules. In terms of number of molecules, water is the maximum. And we are born in a sea of water. By that, I mean the amniotic fluid. So this sort of syncs with what the body wants. The body wants something which was involved in evolution. And that is why it's pretty much, in our product is 99.9% water. There's only 0.1% of the other products. So water is the key of life. This is the lesson. And how it structures itself, it brings about healing.
Viv, if I could just pick up on something that you said that this produces vitamin D in the body. It does not. What it actually does is substitutes for vitamin D in the body in activating the vitamin D receptor. It does trigger the body to produce its own vitamin C, but not vitamin D. And I will quickly comment that not only does it activate the vitamin D receptor, but if the vitamin D receptor is overactive, it actually tones it down or turns it off, which is unique. There is no other known material that does that. And just as an extension of that, in fact, Raghu is satisfied that it actually regulates, turns on and off all of the 48 or 9 nuclear receptors in our cells. This is unheard of, simply unheard of, profound. I describe it as the missing key to the functioning of our bodies. And when you look at that, you begin to understand why I use that term.
Thank you so much, Richard. That actually answers my second question that you'd spoken about in the Kerry interview, that Nano Soma allows the human body to produce vitamin C again to make collagen. Because those that know about supplementation will know that you're often recommended, especially in cold and flu time of year, to take a minimum of 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day because your body doesn't produce it. So I find that quite fascinating that Nano Soma can stimulate the production of your own vitamin C. Can you comment on that, please, Raghu?
Yeah, what it is this. About 40 million years ago, the cells used to produce vitamin C. And then what happened was, during evolution, there was a growth of plant species, fruits, vegetables, and so on, which also were producing vitamin C. So the need for vitamin C decreased in the body because you had an external source through the foods we ate. Now, if we could produce vitamin C, which a lot of animals do, by the way, even today, the only ones that don't produce are the chimpanzees, the guinea pig, and human beings. Everybody else produces vitamin C. For example, if you take a rat, then you inject the rat with a malarial parasite, in a matter of seconds, it begins to produce 100 times the amount of vitamin C that it had at baseline because it's being challenged. Because vitamin C, when you produce vitamin C, is needed for you to make immunoglobulins, which is your body's booster immunity. So what Nano Soma does is basically, it's not producing vitamin C directly. It takes from the foods we eat, the vitamin C that gets oxidized, it recycles into active vitamin C. And this is the key. So you need probably 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. But with our product, which is with 2.5 milligram dose, you produce more than enough vitamin C, and it produces when the body needs it. Suppose you take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, it's gone in 15 minutes from your body. It reaches only a certain level, and anything over that, the body eliminates it. Here, this will produce vitamin C when your body needs it. For example, one of the things we've seen with people who take this product is they show that their sleeping habits have improved. They have a good night's sleep, for example. And the reason is very simple. You see, from one of the amino acids called tryptophan that people may know, you make serotonin. And from serotonin, you make melatonin. As we age, the amount of melatonin you make decreases because of aging. That's why older people have difficult time sleeping. And there are always exceptions, but generally by and large. What this does is to make serotonin and then to make melatonin, you need vitamin C at that time. And this is usually made at night before you go to sleep. And this body will produce the vitamin C by recycling from the foods you ate, the oxidized vitamin C, which normally would have been excreted out. And therefore you get good sleep. So like this, we can go on. Once vitamin C increases, we have published the paper. In fact, it's one of the most read papers of what the work we have done, which is that when you increase vitamin C, if your body increases vitamin C, then amazing things happen in your body. Your sugar, diabetes, sugar levels, everything begins to harmonize. So it's very important to produce vitamin C because you can convert glucose to vitamin C, which is what all animals do. And if we are able to do that here, then that's how we are able to mitigate many symptoms and diseases.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Raghu. And my last question before I open it up is, this is a fascinating claim that you'd said that Parkinson's can be healed in about 8 to 9 months of using Nano Soma, and also TB, which is quite a hot topic here, especially in the Western Cape of Africa where I live. It's I think it's the most prevalent place in the world, so it's very hot on the tip of people's tongues for looking for cures for. So far, you have to go on 6 months of medication, and I think it leaves your lungs permanently weakened. So if you can comment on Parkinson's and TB and allowing the body to heal itself by using this product, please.
Yeah, Richard, talk about your experience, then I will talk about the TB.
Yes, so I'll actually share 2 stories with you, one of which Raghu was not putting on the table, and that is his mother was suffering from Parkinson's, and she was an example of someone who obviously came to it fairly late in her life. And for about 6 months, there was no change, but by about 8 or 9 months, it was effectively cleared. In my case, I'm satisfied I had the early stages of Parkinson's. My mother had Parkinson's, and I'd begun to develop a tremor, and there are aspects to that tremor which I had concluded were related to Parkinson's. 3 months of using the product, it was gone.
So the next part is, as far as the TB is concerned, we have tested the TB against all the variants. There is TB, there is XDR TB, there's MDR TB. XDR is extremely drug-resistant TB, which is very prevalent in Africa. MDR is multiple drug-resistant TB. And we have tested this in India. And not only that, we have tested many patients. I think one of the gentlemen, Murli, is on the line. Maybe he is the one who is, we are collaborating with the TB specialist in India, and we have lots of cases of people recovering from TB. Perhaps Murli can you put a few words in about your experience? Murli. Anyway, I don't know if you've heard it. So we have done a lot of patients in a hospital in India. We have a proposal sitting with the Indian government and say, we could eliminate TB very quickly because it's very potent against TB. You know, in olden days, people used to go to Switzerland to go in the high in the Alps and go to a sanatorium where they would get the UV rays of the sun to start producing vitamin D. And this, we have a simple substitute, you know, we can make vitamin D. We can mimic the actions of vitamin D and therefore overcome TB. At a very fraction of the cost. This is just not about just TB alone, but the fact is we want to cure TB. If you prevent people from coughing, which happens, by the way, in 1 to 2 weeks, they stop coughing, then you have stopped the spread of TB. That's the first step. Then the patient heals over time. And we have tested it in the TB Institute in India against all the 3 forms of TB. So it's very potent against TB.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Thank you, Raghu. I'm now going to ask Shafika from Nano Soma Africa to have a little bit of a discussion with you about polycosanol and the self-awareness of the contents of Nano Soma, the safety and the efficacy. Shafika, can I ask you to have a little chat with the doctors about that, please?
Hi. So the beautiful experience of taking it the first time was that very first sensation pretty much immediately after. And that sensation is something that really shone that light quite instantly, that this is something of very acute awareness and intelligence, which then also kind of just leads into how is it possible that this is able to cure, you know, not a particular type of disease, but pretty much everything. What is the quality of awareness to be able to reach everything as opposed to being separatist or discrimination, you know, across the body or in different ways, and that instead of you know, looking at the details of each individual disease, how beautifully this is naturally open and working towards the health of the whole. And so, yeah, I was just curious into how there is that wholeness is possible with Nano Soma, that it is beyond full spectrum, as you know, as far as I've experienced and the results that I've seen.
Let me put this in perspective. We have something called nuclear receptors in our bodies, inside the nucleus. This is like the Fort Knox of our body. This is where the entire operating system is there. You know, like Microsoft operating system, you have an operating system in the body. And these nuclear receptors get signals or from outside and it activates them. For example, it may get a signal when you eat something sugary, and the signal goes to the nuclear receptor to start producing insulin. So if the DNA then binds, produces mRNA, which is what your body makes, not the synthetic one, and then it produces insulin. So the signals have to come. The problem arises when you have disease, when the signals are not going or the wrong signals are being sent. So instead of, for example, you may be normal, the sugar may be normal, it is still sending signals and saying produce insulin. So you're producing too much insulin, so you get insulin resistance, and that leads to diabetes. So these 48 receptors control every gene in your body, all the 48 of them. And we have done studies, which recently we just completed a study, and we're doing a few more, where we take something called microarray, which is the entire human genome. We have pieces of DNA from every chromosome. And we found that Nano Soma highlights 22,800 genes out of the possible 23,000 genes in the body. The other 200, I don't know what they are, because they could be non-coding. That means they don't produce proteins, but it's pretty much across the board. So every gene is affected by the body. So we have also done work with RNA sequencing about 5-6 years ago. So when you take Nano Soma, there are 242,000 gene to gene interactions in the body, 242,000. So put it in perspective, if you take metformin, which is used for diabetes, it has got only 800 interactions. But we have 242,000 interactions, and we know each and every one of them. I mean, if there are people who really know deep biochemistry and bioinformatics, yes, I can explain each one of them, what are the p-values and so on. But it affects every gene in your body, one way or the other. So that is what we are doing with stem cells, we are doing with other cells in the body to show, yes, it is doing what it is doing. So it affects everything in the body. That's why the name of the disease is not important. We are a network. It's like, you have the internet in South Africa, and if you cut a piece of the cable in Cape Town, it's going to affect internet everywhere. Slow down or something else could happen. Same way is our body. If there is something not working in one area of the body, it's going to affect the entire body. And this is why you need something that treats the entire body. And I'm very convinced that it affects every gene and therefore every pathways. Like there are many pathways to disease, and it affects each and every one of them. So that is why it works the way it does. And because this molecule is 2 billion years old, and you see our body is something what we call as lipid. This is what protects us from what is inside. So in Sanskrit, in Indian literature, they call it Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha means protector, Prakriti means life. So this protector gets signals from external and tells the internal what to do. So this product of mine is a Purusha, it's a protector. It protects you from disease. That is a simple definition.
That's amazing.
If I can just add a little bit to that, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It's interesting. I'm now satisfied. We had a Zoom call in January where an extraordinary Australian woman talked about being able to observe how Nano Soma works in the body. A woman called Lorraine Mill, who describes herself as a master intuitive, and she has extraordinary skills. And one of the things that she shared after she'd explained how she saw it operating in the body, she just quietly said, this particle does not come from here. And so I'm satisfied that this particle brought the blueprint of biological life to this planet. And so when you begin to understand that, you can understand why it has this profound relationship with our biology on every level. It's just truly profound. And so I noticed a few questions there. Does it heal a kidney? Does it impact the pancreas? To quote Raghu's words, he said, he has more than once said in my hearing, we can heal a dead kidney, a dead liver, a dead pancreas, a dead thyroid, his words. And so it goes on. We've witnessed the healing, profound healing of a heart, and we understand why that happens as well. Today, if you have a heart attack, it's accepted you'll have the scarring of the heart muscle for the rest of your life. Well, not if you use Nano Soma, you won't. That's
absolutely incredible. Thank you, Richard. There are amazing questions coming through in our chat here, and I would like to ask if you would, if all the audience here would like to ask their questions directly to Raghu and to Richard. I saw there we've got you can either put up your little digital yellow hand if you know how to do that, or your real hand like Nikki is doing. Please ask your question, Nikki.
Thank you so much. My question is about, I understand I've been on Nano for a while, and I understand that it is here to help the body remove anything that isn't meant to be there. But what if the removal system is blocked up, like the lymph and the actual pathways to remove stuff? If that's already blocked, is that a problem?
No, it'll clear the path. I mean, you see, it's whole idea. See, what happens is this, that because of the foods we eat and the environment we live in, there are a lot of chemicals we take in we shouldn't be taking, as a simple example. So when the signal goes from one part of the body to other, it goes through what we call as synapses, nerve endings, and the signals are sent. Those get blocked by the chemicals or whatever things we eat, crap we eat, and the signal never gets through. The first thing it does is to remove these things from those areas. That's detoxifying. And then it clears the pathway. It is going to do what your body, each person's body is different, is capable of doing. If your immune system is strong, it'll be a faster reaction to clear it. If your immune system is weaker, it's going to do much more slowly. It cannot do everything at the same time. It'll be too much for the body to handle. That's the way the body works. It doesn't do anything drastic. It does everything stepwise. And that depends on that person's state of immunity or well-being. And this is the key. So for example, young people never get COVID or whatever, because their immune system is so strong, it just cleared. And older people who are 75 and above is the one who will experience the disease because the system is blocked. They have 75 years of life on this planet and so much crap has been collected. It needs to be cleared.
Thank you so much, Raghu, and thank you, Nikki. We've got Yugraj up. If you'd like to ask a question, please.
Thank you so much. You have already got the patents in US and other places.
Even I have patent in South Africa. So I have 2 patents in South Africa. So all over the world.
I have actually been very happy to hear all this. Why there is a big disclaimer? If we go with the start with the disclaimer, what is any kind of an inhibition or we have a
no. What it is this. The medical establishment has said,
Hanji.
Food is food, it's not medicine.
Okay.
Medicine is what you make in a pharma business. So they control all the levers of power. There is a word in America, it's called Goldman rule. Not Goldman Sachs had a rule called Goldman rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. I don't have the gold, so I don't make the rules. So they're classified as food, and the scientists have been told food doesn't cure anything, but we eat food because that boosts our immunity. But that's not that thinking. So Western medicine is in the Stone Age, as far as I'm concerned. So this product is to bring it to the agriculture age. We're just transitioning to the agricultural age. So I always tell, I'm not pharma, PHARMA. I am FHARMA, from the farm.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And one of a place where I heard about it, that this is not just the product for planet Mother Earth, but it works in 14 dimensions. Can you just give some insight on this?
No, this was a guy who was a Vedic scholar. What happened was we were doing a clinical study in India in 2015. Okay. And that guy who owned the clinic was a big believer in this stuff. So he invited this Vedic astrologer and gave him this bottle. and also he had taken my astrological particulars or whatever. And my sister was present, sitting in that very room. Okay. And he took the bottle, looked at my horoscope and said, it will do the following things. And he went on, rattled one by one. All of it was in my patent. He didn't know about it, by the way. He didn't know anything about it. The bottle was unlabeled, so you wouldn't know.
True.
It was like NRX 1119, so he wouldn't have known what it was. It was the first time I ever heard. He said it'll work in 14 dimensions. So I haven't figured out 14, I don't know how it is. But some people have told me that the way the body operates is there are many layers and layers until you get to the bone marrow and under. And those are the 13 or 14 dimensions we talk about. So the cleansing needs to happen at every layer. I mean, this is obvious to us. The skin layer, you can just clean it. Then there is dermis, epidermis, and so on. You can see the layers. That's what he probably means. But in Vedic Ayurveda, there are 14 or 13 or 14 dimensions, which is hard for me to fathom. So
I'm blessed to have one with me.
Oh, excellent.
Got a question from Amita.
Hi, thank you very much, Viv, and thank you to Raghu and to Richard. Namaste, hello, and to everybody as well. So, by all accounts, there seems to be an amazingly, it's like a miracle, it's a miracle substance. It seems to have, there's a quantumness about it, very intelligent, that works uniquely with different frequencies that different people carry. Am I correct in assuming this?
Yes. I will tell you what I mean by different frequencies. Just want to mention it. which is basically that this product, interacts with every chromosome in the body. Each chromosome has DNA, and where it binds, there's a certain amount of energy associated with it, and that energy relates to a different frequency. So it works at different frequencies, like what Tesla has said. So.
Excellent. You seem to have stumbled onto a Tesla type thing here in the medical field, So congratulations. So you mentioned about chromosomes. I was thinking in terms of mitochondria and the impact effect on the DNA, on the physical DNA, which are active in all of us, and also what is called the so-called junk DNA. Have you had any experiences or any testimonials about what's happening on that level? Let me also the pineal pituitary, that system within the body. I'm asking simply because I have a very a big interest in the spiritual aspect of this as well. Given that firstly the bodies needs to be cleared of all the things that are blocking it, and etc. So I just want to know. So after the clearing of the body, if one more question, so I won't come back. Right? So, and it seems as though we have to take this on a consistent level, maybe for several months or so, before you can actually see the real results that you're looking for. But I understand that there's so much work going into it, and but from here, from our perspective, my perspective personally, it's for me it's expensive. So how do the rest of the people who cannot truly afford this kind of treatment, I just need some clarity on that, because really, for me, the big stumbling block is like, you have to really save up for this quite a bit to be able to purchase.
Let me begin with the mitochondria. You see, the first thing that happens when you take the body, we have found that there are 90 genes that are expressed by nano that relate to the mitochondria, 90. So the first thing it does that people have mentioned to us is that their energy levels improve. The only way it can improve is it fixes the mitochondria, because that is the power plant of our body. So we know that happens to everybody across the board. The second thing that happens to people across the board is that the blood pressure becomes normal, because the blood has to flow, you see, everywhere in the body. So these two things happen for everybody, irrespective of what disease you have, okay? Those two definitely happen. Now, about the pineal gland that you're talking about, see, the problem arises when there is too much of calcium deposits there. And vitamin D receptor, because my product binds the vitamin D receptor, it regulates calcium. It brings about homeostasis. So that's how it will work on those areas, okay? And the third thing about the price, you see, in some countries, the way I look at it is, the temple in South India said that it cures 4,448 diseases. Based on our gene expression analysis, we get 4,955 diseases we can target based on the gene expression. The reason the difference is there for 400 or 500 is because a lot of people in Western countries have named diseases after themselves, or Alzheimer's disease, Hashimoto syndrome, and all that. So if I filter off all the named diseases, you won't believe this, it comes to 4,448, exactly what the temple predicted, okay? So let's say it costs $60 in America, at least. I don't know the price in other countries. You are targeting 4,448 diseases. It's 1 cent per disease per month. And that's the way you look at it. The second thing is, you can't put a price tag on your health. And, this is the key. It replaces you don't have to take any other nutritional supplement. You don't have to take homeopathy. Probably you don't even have to take most drugs, So that's a saving right there. So, but the reason you take it for life is because you want to keep your immune system up. Even today, 100 million people supposedly got COVID. Not that the test is right, but I would say 5 million got it. Anyway, let's assume 100 million. But 8.4 billion people didn't get it. The people are not looking at it from that perspective.
I will just
Thank you.
add that
Thank you.
it's my vision that this will be in the hands of everybody in the world in due course. I can't tell you how that will happen yet, but I'm satisfied that the day will come when that will be so. There are many things that will have to happen for that to happen, but you know, we are simply just beginning to get the wheels turning. We couldn't supply everybody in the world at this point in time. We just don't have the resources. So these answers will come, the solutions will come. I don't know what they are yet, but we're just doing the best job we can at this point in time.
Thank you
Thank you
much,
so
Richard.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amita. We've got a question from Kennedy. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
What I wanted to find out from you, doctors, it's in connection with the higher blood pressure. We call it is it a hypertension? So now, as person using these products, maybe can you elaborate more how this Nano Soma work to bring this higher blood pressure to normalcy? And maybe you also elaborate more a bit, how does it work to take the DNA to normalcy?
I'll tell you what about blood pressure. So it's actually may turn out to be very simple, which is simply, we have found that people, as they increase vitamin C levels in the body, when the body increases it, automatically the blood pressure drops. There's a direct link between the two, vitamin C and blood pressure. That's how it probably is working. There's other genes that are involved, but we don't want to get there. It's too complicated. The simplest answer to you is vitamin C increases, and my product works as a vitamin D, and both are involved in bringing about homeostasis, which is to get your pressure to normal, which is what it does. I didn't understand the other question.
Yeah, the other question is about you talk about the DNA that I did not follow well when you were talking about how does the Nano Soma work with the DNA in order to
Well, let me give you a macro explanation. What we are giving you is food. The food contains DNA. What your body talks in language is the language of DNA. So when you take food, the DNA in the food talks to the DNA of the body, and there is communication. Now, when you take a drug, for example, there is no DNA in the drug, it's man-made. So the drug is talking Russian and your body is talking Spanish, there is no communication. That's why they never work. You need to speak in the same language, which is what this product does. It's food. As Hippocrates said, food is thy medicine, medicine thy food. He who does not understand food cannot heal the diseases of men. And this is exactly what this is about. It's very simple. We are talking the same language as the body. The body is able to communicate to us. That would be the simplest explanation for most people. We can go in depth, but you would need a good deep knowledge of biochemistry and molecular biology and so on. We don't want to get there.
If I can just add a little bit to your answer, Raghu, I think would be helpful. And that is, Raghu has established that this particle triggers a replica of the human genome to within 99%. And he's working on confirming the missing 1%. So if you think about that, what you're seeing is effectively a perfect version of the human genome being triggered by this product. Suddenly you have a replica that the body can compare with, if you will, and correct the errors in the human DNA, whether they be from genetic defects, whether they be from man-made interference, whatever it happens to be. The body now has a basis upon which to make those corrections. And again, going back to Lorraine Mills' observations back in January, and I will shortly be making available an edited version of what she had to say, edited in the sense of the visuals with it, because she didn't want me to share her photograph of her video of the day, because I think she'd just come off the beach. And she said, as I watch this, where there are gaps in the DNA, I see them be repaired. And where there's interference with the DNA, I see it being cleared. And this is exactly what we understood. So it's worthwhile looking at it that step deeper, because we are living in a time when I think it's pretty clear we are experiencing intentional interference with our DNA. Well, guess what?
Okay. Thank you. Now the explanation is more clear. And maybe lastly is just to maybe to give us highlight, or maybe to explain how, in case I'm using the first time, how to start with Nano Soma, how really should I use it from the beginning, and on the as the time goes on, how should I use it? Maybe just to explain on the usage of the Nano Soma also.
Richard, you can say our protocol.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yes. Raghu has given us a protocol for getting started with this. If you have any kind of existing health condition, it is recommended that you begin by using, as Raghu puts it, a bottle in a week and then a bottle in 2 weeks. So that amounts to basically 5 sprays 4 times a day until you use up the first bottle, which takes about a week, and then 5 sprays twice a day until you've used up the second bottle, and then settle into 5 sprays once a day. So that's a startup protocol, which, as I said, we would recommend to anyone with an existing health condition. And if you're an old bastard like me, it's good, because you've inevitably got some issues going on from the processes of aging.
Right. Thank you, Kennedy, and thank you, Raghu and Richard. We've got a hand up here from Dr. Lalit Kumar.
One thing, Richard, I would like to share. I'm a specialized person in a disease called tuberculosis. But suddenly people are looking at me as a cancer specialist. I have nothing to do with cancer at all. One of India's biggest cancer hospital is in Mumbai, called Tata Hospital. And I have seen it for my whole life long, since I was born, because I stay in a similar area, very close proximity to that hospital. I work in a hospital which is hardly 1 kilometer away from that big hospital, but I have nothing to do with that disease. But when I saw mind-boggling results of severely ill cancer patients taking Nano Soma and reverting, I was stunned. I was amazed. My doctor colleagues were suddenly started flooding with questions. I mean, as if I'm a specialist. I'm not a specialist in cancer at all. But the kind of recovery people have shown is amazing. I would just like to share something, some photographs of a CT scan. Can I?
Sure, go ahead.
2021. This was the video. If you can see, this is the 3-dimensional image. I can see the trachea over here, and there is a vertebra over here, and these are the clavicle bones. I will see the lungs now. This is the left lung. This is the right lungs, the sternum bone, the vertebra. What I see over here, you can compare it with the left side. The lungs, black colored, are sticking to the ribs. This lung is not sticking to the ribs. Usually this happens when there is fluid in the lungs. This is a typical type. This is called pleural effusion, right pleural effusion. You can see how much the thing is, the normal lung and this lung, pleural effusion. This is something which caught my attention. This is a mass over here on the right lung, in the middle zone, middle lobe. This again, this shadow over here has caught my attention in the lower lobe of the right lung. You can see this mass over here. This is a cancerous growth as well as this. So I told him to do a biopsy immediately. One minute. I will show you the other thing. So he had panicked. The biopsy was done, and I had asked him to do a CT scan also, and the CT scan was done. This is a CT scan. Sorry, PET scan. I'm sorry, PET scan was done. The PET scan dated 25 February 2021 showed this thing. This mass over here, which is cancer and a pleural effusion, I told you, this is the glow in the PET scan. Okay. Now he wanted to bring his mother to the reputed hospital in Mumbai or Tata Hospital for the cancer treatment. But then the lockdown happened. The second COVID wave had picked up tremendously in the place he was staying. Also had a lot of COVID patients, and he could not bring her to the cancer hospital. So he asked me, what can I do? I'm frustrated. I told him that, okay, at least till the time she reaches the cancer hospital, starts chemo and radiotherapy, at least try Nano Soma. You can do that at home. He started off with Nano Soma. And after a month, in the month of April, he called me and he said his mother is totally fine. She's walking, she's gained a weight and she is not breathless at all. I mean, I'm amazed by the recovery she's done. I said, this is all subjective, what you are saying that she is fine. I would like to compare the CT scans or the PET scan. But then it so happened with so many people flooding with COVID in the CT scan centers, he did not want to do it then. This was done in the month of 19th August 2021. The PET scan was repeated. Can you see that thing? Without taking chemo, radio, see that thing? At home. So the doctors community is amazed, is stunned by what has happened over here in a cancer patient, and that too, that was adenocarcinoma of the lungs. It had some spread in other parts also, everything going down. Thank you, Richard. I am so amazed and I'm so blessed I have met Dr. Raghavan and all this Nano Soma and all this thing which has come across my way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was amazing for us to actually see visual evidence of what can happen in 6 months just from taking this product. That is, it was
and
special.
This is not the only one. There are other people who are following this kind of recovery. Some person who was told that he will not even live for 1.5 months with pancreas tumor was started of this thing, and now it is almost 2 months now. He's recovering. He's not dying. He's recovering after the failures in chemotherapy and all this. I'm amazed. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Doctor. Okay, we've got a hand up from Gay. Gay, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Maybe I should start the video. Okay, there we go. I'm Gay Corbett. I'm living in South Africa. I have been distributing Nano Soma now for 2 or 3 months to great success. I want to thank you, Dr. Raghu, for a wonderful product. I just wanted to ask you one thing. I had a blood test done before I started my own personal journey on Nano Soma. I had my vitamin D levels tested. I had been taking 50,000 international units of vitamin D a week. And when I had my D tested, it it was up to about 70, whatever that figure means.
Mhm.
I then when I started Nano Soma, I cut my vitamin D level down to 5,000 a day, which makes the dosage less. And after 2 months, I had my vitamin D level tested again, and my vitamin D level is up to 212, from 70 to 212. When I spoke to Dr. Murray about that, he said I must cut out the supplement. Why? Is 212 too high? Or what should I do with it?
Yeah, let me explain to you this. When you take vitamin D, my product is more active than vitamin C. The vitamin D is given a rest, so you don't have to do anything, you know. I take over the job of vitamin D. So there's no need for vitamin D. Now, the fact is 212, I don't know what the equation is, but it is the top end of it. Like the Maasai tribe in Africa have levels up to 125 or so, you know, so you're not at the high level, okay?
Okay.
The tribals in Namibia, 125, 130, you know, so it's nothing new because we were all hunter-gatherers. So you are probably at the high level, but I don't think we should worry about it because the body will get rid of it if it's not needed.
Okay.
But you don't need to take supplements when you take Nano, because the key with supplements is this: you have a deficiency of a certain mineral or vitamin, you take it. The problem, why you got that in the first place, was because your immune system is not optimal. So it is supposed to pick up these from the foods. There are something called transporters in the body, gene transporters. So when you eat food, it's like a luxury vehicle that comes and goes to a sodium taxi and takes the sodium out or potassium out or calcium out in a taxi, you know, literally. So until you fix that problem, there's no use taking supplements. Supplements have never worked. You need to fix the immune system so that when you eat the right food, it will pick up supplements from the food we eat. So you need to eat the right foods. For example, there is this salad we use, arugula, right? Now, if you add if your immune system is good and you had one small bowl of arugula, you get all the calcium you need for one day. But for that to happen, your immune system needs to be fixed. And that's what we do with Nano. So I wouldn't take supplements. It's not worth it, because mine is the vitamin D substitute. You have an unemployed guy sitting in your body.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And supplements like magnesium and...
You don't need it. Really, you have to get it from the food. See, the magnesium, we don't know what form is magnesium in foods. We don't know. So if you take a magnesium supplement, it's not something that your body thinks is the right form. So it's going to reject it, or very little going to be absorbed.
Okay.
See, for example, vitamin C, okay? As a chemist, I know what vitamin C structure is. But in the body, if the body produces vitamin C, I don't know what form it is. It could be a magnesium salt, it could be a calcium salt, it could be some other kind of salt. And this is the key. This is why you have to let the body produce the right way. And this is what Nano Soma is good at.
Okay.
But if you need vitamin D, you're in South Africa, the sun is free. You get it. 20 minutes is all you need in a day. Yes. You go to the App Store, there is a program called D Minder. Letter D, Minder. It's free. You put it knows where you are. It'll tell you want to make vitamin D. This is the time it gives you. And the right UV light is there. Voila, you have it. So that's what I do. Unfortunately, New York today, there's no sun today, but otherwise I would have done that. So.
Okay, and my next question is, I know you say 5 sprays once a day once you have passed the initial, 2 bottles. What about twice a day? Is it not twice as better?
You can take twice a day, thrice a day. I take many times a day, including my dog. I've trained him to take Nano too. Dogs works wonderfully on dogs and cats and so on, Horses also, by the way, horses also. We have had many cases of horses with a lot of disease, with arthritis being removed within 3 to 4 weeks. In Austria, a lady raises horses for showmanship, and she was able to do that. So you can take, you can take up to 25,000 bottles in one day and drink it. Nothing will happen to you. But you need to get to 25,000 bottles in one day. I don't know if it's time-wise it's possible, because you spend most of your time in the bathroom. So.
Okay. And the third and last question is, my husband's got macular degeneration, wet macular degeneration in one of his eyes. Mm-hmm. Now he's been putting drops in his eyes, and he says sometimes it makes it even more blurry. So I don't know, does macular degeneration get handled with Nano Soma or what?
Yeah, it does. We have had quite a few cases of people with macular degeneration. Who they used to take. In fact, in the US, they have a treatment where they inject some injection into your eye. It's very expensive.
Yes,
very expensive, like $5,000, $6,000 here that I know of. Yes. Insurance company pays, so people take it. But we have had people who have completely recovered from that, using in the eye and also in the mouth. So it'll take time. Blurriness may come and go because the body, see, when you have macular degeneration, the body corrects it, and then it begins to test the limits, you see. It's like this, you go to a car, repair the car, and the mechanic will press the accelerator up and down, what is the limit and what's the lower limit. That's how the body works. It doesn't work in a straight line. It's zigzag, zigzag, zigzag before it becomes normal. So
it's just got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how long have the other guys taken to correct the Nano?
That was 6 months. That was 6 months.
6 months. Okay, good.
It also depends on the age and everything else. I believe the other one was also her, if I remember correctly, she was in Portland, Oregon. I got to call her. About 65 to 70 was her age, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you so much. And thank you for your product. It's wonderful.
Bye. Thank you, ma'am.
Esther, would you like to ask a question? Can you unmute yourself?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so very much for this wonderful product. My husband suffers from tinea versicolor now for almost 30 years. And everywhere I've looked and on the internet and things we've tried, they say it's not curable. It's a skin disease that it's typical. They say the miners get it and it makes these white spots. And I wondered if this product will help for that.
Raghu?
Yeah, well, I didn't hear the voice was so muffled. I couldn't really hear. Anybody can interpret that for me?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much. My question is, my husband suffers from tinea versicolor, a skin problem. It's typically from, they call it a miner's disease. It's got these white spots on the skin. It's been 30 years now. And we've used all kinds of products and nothing seems to work. And I wondered if this could help for that.
Yeah, it will. We have had people with these patches. I don't know, somewhere it's there. In one of my papers, it's there with these patches and all that. It does go away. It depends again, each person is different. So if you had it for 50 years, you got to give it at least probably. The rule of thumb I have is if you're 50 years old, it'll take about 100 weeks for you to sort of normalize everything in your body. That is the general. The older you are, the longer it takes. But it is possible it could happen early. But I think one of the things is, have you checked the vitamin D level?
Yes. So currently he's taking homeopathic medicine, and I'm giving him vitamin C's and also nature fresh products, which helps. But this has been plus minus 30 years, so I'm thinking we're probably going to have to do the 100 weeks, like you say.
It could happen earlier. This is something I cannot predict, only because you are giving homeopathy, you don't know how it works. Here, I know how it works. Exactly. For skin especially, we have seen people who had amputation of the hand or leg because of diabetes. heal within 12 to 16 weeks. You can see complete healing. So it'll work. But other thing you need to do is check the vitamin D level. If it is low, go into the sun. It's free, and you have it 20 minutes a day.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. Is there anybody else that would like to ask a question?
So I'd like to ask on the effects of mental health, addictions, and like psychological imbalances.
Yeah. So let me. When we were doing we had just finished some work on. Started work actually on neuro genes that affect the brain. I will have the result in 2-3 weeks. But in the meantime, I did have a person who, I don't know, he was in Canada or something, in one other thing. He reached out to me privately. He's been a drug user for 15 years. His brain was all shot out, okay, completely shot out. And he said after 3 days, he's back to normal. So it tells you how powerful it is. He was so shocked that he didn't want to put it in writing. He said, I only want to talk to you. So he was a drug user as well as a drug dealer. He was both. He has tried every drug in the world, he said. But he was shocked in 3 days. Wow. His sanity was restored, as he put it. I'm waiting for a testimonial from him. He said he will write. He's hesitating. I said, I'm not going to put your name. We'll cover everything, but it'll be good to have it. I have all the notes that he sent, but that's what happened. So it will definitely affect. I mean, the other thing I know it definitely does is over time, it curbs the use of alcohol. I'm a living example of that. I used to take 2 or 3 glasses of wine in a week. Now I don't. I look at it, my body says, don't take it. That's it. We have given, I don't think Murali is here, if he ever told you, we had given some to a few police officers in Mumbai, India. And after 1 week, all of them complained that they had lost their appetite for whiskey. But their wives are happy, but they were not. It does have if you drink too much, this is what I suggest, that evening before you go to bed, spray 5 sprays in your mouth before you go to bed after your drinks. Next morning, you will wake up without a hangover. That we have seen across the board. So, in fact, bars should have it. Before they go, you spray them and charge them money, and they won't have a hangover.
Thanks, Shafika. That is an endorsement of note. Thank you, Raghu.
The other thing I want to say is that if you spray on your body and face, no mosquito bites you. This is guaranteed. This is something I have experimented. Whenever I go to India, I just spray myself. Even in Bombay, no mosquito bites me, no mosquito. I had a friend of mine, who went to Dominican Republic for a vacation. He sprayed himself. No, his children were okay. He was okay. So this is why it works against malaria. See, this is where we can eliminate malaria in no time. You protect yourself, and wherever there is malarial areas or where water is, you spray with a dilute solution of this, and you have it. In fact, you can use it in animals. Animals drink water, so you can put a little bit of that in the water, and it cleans the system out. You don't need antibiotics. So there are a lot of possibilities, endless possibilities. First, we're going to fix the human beings before we get to the animals. But veterinary medicine, a lot of doctors I know here, they borrow from me when they have cats, especially because cats get diabetes, unlike dogs, and they recover very quickly. We have dogs who couldn't even walk. They had Lou Gehrig's disease, one of them, that's ALS. And within 1 week to 10 days, they're able to walk and eat their food. So there's a lot of things it does. I mean, I could go on. I had even had 2 cases in Malaysia with people who were in coma for 2 years. And the doctors gave up. Everybody gave up. They just sprayed it in the mouth for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks. They were up. So because it produces blood vessels in the body. So a lot of applications possible. Armed forces, for example, every soldier should carry this in the gel when he sprayed, do it. I don't know if you know, during the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese, whenever they got hit by bullets or they had a wound, the first thing they would do is put their hand or whatever part of the body into freshly crushed rice flour. And rice flour contains polycosanol. Immediately they would heal, and yeah, it's in movies. You can see them in the movies. That's how I got some of the ideas, inspiration from him. That's why wound healing is something that works wonderfully with this product. Burns, for example, you can do it.
Thank you, Raghu. I'm just aware of the time. We've been chatting away for just over an hour and a half. I'd just like Richard to tell us a little about your cream and your gel that are apparently going to be coming out soon.
I'm happy to do that. To be specific, they're Raghu's cream and gel, not mine, but I certainly I will mention these. The gel in essence takes the spray and adds an edible xanthan gum to it. So if you take water and spray it on your skin, you will know it's not the most convenient thing to work with. It tends to be a bit unmanageable. It runs off. Whereas, and certainly it works, but it's just a little impractical. Whereas the gel, you can apply it readily topically. It's not going to run everywhere, and it's essentially the spray with xanthan gum added to it to make it into a gel. And so it's a much more practical solution. Speaking of skin disorders, there have been examples of people with psoriasis, over 80% of their body healed with this product. Just amazing, including nails. It's just extraordinary. So the gel basically takes the spray and turns it into a topical product. The cream is made, so there's a series here. You start with the spray, and then the gel is produced from the spray, and the cream is actually produced from the gel. And basically what it is, again, these are all water-based products. There's no oil in them. And let me say to you, firstly, I think we all recognize it's usually women who are more interested in how their skin looks than men, though there is a good percentage of men who also have an interest in it. Any woman that I have shared the cream with wants access to it, with the exception of 3 I've experienced. They were all in the cosmetics industry. I will tell you, in this household, I would be in deep trouble if I allowed the cream supply to run out. It's truly profound. Again, it's working in the same way, but it's just a beautiful, gentle facial cream. And Raghu has a photograph from the wife of one of his friends or colleagues.
I want to show you the picture. I'm not just getting the picture. So.
Great. So effectively, as you would probably know, skin creams are filled with vitamin C because it's recognized as being critical to producing collagen in the skin, which is what deals with the facial lines. It's the falling away, if you will, of our collagen levels that causes the facial lines to emerge. Whereas with this product, you don't need to add vitamin C. It's triggering the production of vitamin C in the cells in the skin. So the outcome is fairly predictable. Have you got that photograph handy, Raghu?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, just if you let me share the screen, I can do it.
Yes, there we go.
So this is a woman after 2 weeks. You can see 59, 58 she was, but look at these lines here, and look at this after 2 weeks. We are not talking months; we are talking a few days. Here's a few one, see how it smoothens the skin. You can use the spray as well, and you can see how it firms up the skin. Age is not important. It doesn't matter what the age is. This woman was over 65, 70. So, and you can see how it removes acne. This is where I did my first. She happens to be my badminton doubles partner, and I said, use this product. First time I got the cream, and this was in 3 days. Just 3 days. She works for a hedge fund called BlackRock. I told her, go to the office 15 minutes late on Monday and text me. So she went to the office 15 minutes late, and she texted me, Raghu, it was a showstopper, she said, because people could feel it. This product marketed itself. I did this because my wife didn't want to use my product. She's a doctor. I said, if you make a cream, I'll use it. Maybe then I'll use the spray. So I made the cream. And when she used it for the first time, after a week, we went to parties in this area and everybody wanted to know which plastic surgeon she went to. It's that profound, because most mistakes that are made by cream and gel, they use a lot of cheap oil. Oil blocks the pores because oil is a lipid. It blocks all the pores in your skin. Mine is water. The water is repelled by the skin, so the product gets into the body, and that's how it happens. And here is warts, it never comes back again. It's in my patent, actually. And here is a woman who had 85% of her body of psoriasis recovered in 12 weeks. It's also published. It's published, one of my things. Here, somebody asked me all these spots. See how they disappear. And here you have people with nails. We restore nail specs. So nails of the psoriasis is pretty common disease. And this guy, the entire body psoriasis. You see how beautifully it came. This is in 24 weeks. Yeah. And let's see. This is hand psoriasis. We restored the hands. And let's see. This is a big problem, and we have published the work also with MRSA infection. If you go to the hospital, that's where you pick up the disease. It takes years to get rid of it. It never works. And in 21 days, it's restored. It's cures the disease. And let's see what I have. This is a real story of a Vietnam War veteran. This is the effect of the Agent Orange the Americans used in the 1960s or 70s in Vietnam. And I thought the picture was wrong, but that's the way his feet look. And look what happened after 4 weeks. It's amazing. We have the dates here, 15th. I think it happened, let's see, 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks. So, there's a lot of examples like that I can show you, but the key is this, see, even with herpes of the body, it's restored very quickly. And even eyes, this happens to be my eye. I took a photo. Well, I was hit by I play badminton professionally. I was hit by a badminton shuttle at 100 miles an hour on my left eye. And within 4 days, complete recovered. The inflammation went away. So you can put it, if ever you go to the dentist, he pulls your tooth out and says, take antibiotics, don't. Just spray in that area. By next morning, it is healed, completely healed. It happened to me 2-3 weeks ago. The doctor said, take antibiotics. We pulled the tooth out. I said, no, I just sprayed. I went next morning. I showed it to her. It was completely healed.
Thank you so much, Raghu. Let's just take one last question from Sandy, and then we can wrap up.
Hello there. Thank you. I came on the call late. Yeah, really looking forward to listening to the replay if there is one. My question is this. Now, using the example of, say, I don't know, psoriasis. So Nano Soma clears up someone's psoriasis as an example. And then if they stopped doing the maintenance dose, then is there a risk that psoriasis would come back?
Well, let's put it this way. You need to change your lifestyle when you got the disease because of your malfunctioning immune system. You eat food every day. You don't stop eating food because you're sick or not sick. You eat something or the other. This is food you take every day. The reason is just not about psoriasis. It's about other diseases that may come. Tomorrow, let's say now they're talking about a new virus in India called, I don't know, Nephra or some Nephra, I don't know, one of those viruses, new viruses, Nipah virus. We are ready. Our product will work. Ebola comes tomorrow. We know our product already works. So it's a way to protect yourself more than, like you carry life insurance. This is the life insurance for your health.
One thing we haven't discussed here is the fact that when you use this product, you actually reverse the aging process. So Raghu is now 70. 2 years ago, his measured biological age was 51. Now it's 48. He's been using it for over 10 years. So his biological clock is running backwards. This is one of the things this product does. So it's up to you how you want to live your life. For me, there is no decision to be made. I will use this product for every day that I remain on this planet, then I have access to the product. It's that simple. And if you understand what it's doing fully, you don't look at this as some medicine. It's not. As Raghu said, it's food. What it's actually doing is returning to us the component of our food that has been removed, or it was only available in to a limited extent. This is simply making a fundamental ingredient of our food available to us every day in this very simple form. And so, as I said, don't look at it like a medicine. I'll use it this long and then I'll stop and maybe I'll fix my problem. No, this is a key to producing perfect health ongoingly. That's what this is about. And by the way, you know, it's going to represent an existential problem for those who use it, because you can't rely on your biology giving out on you anymore. How do you want to leave? When do you want to leave? Becomes a real issue, because you can trust your health in the way that we cannot today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. I would just like to hand over to Patrick and Shafika from Nano Soma Africa to just give a thanks on all of our behalf for arranging this interview this evening with the two doctors, with us here in Africa on the middle continent. If I can just hand over to Patrick and Shafika.
Thank you so much, doctors, for being here. Thank you for everybody that has attended. It is so beautiful to feel the effects of this in my reality, on my friends, and as this is growing, we are so grateful and blessed to be supporting this. And the results speak for themselves. And so this is a degree of trust that just allows everything to shine, and it's up to us to recognize this trust. So yeah, just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. I know it's very late with you. It's almost 3:30 in the morning in Australia. So really appreciate your time.
It's okay. It's my pleasure, my honor and pleasure.
And anybody who wants further information, I mean, obviously look at our website. There's all the articles, all the published scientific results from Raghu, all on the website. And all the information is there. And please don't hesitate to get in touch.
By the way, one of the things we have done is we have given it to some very important world leaders who are using it, and they're improving. So I hope they go public. That will be the best thing that can happen if they go public.
Okay, I would just like to say thank you on behalf of Connecting Consciousness and myself, Viv, the Connecting Consciousness Coordinator for Africa, and I'm the Country Coordinator for South Africa. I recognize many of your names.
If you kind of look,
I recognize the names of some of my fabulous members that I see on my Zoom session. So thank you for joining us this evening, and once again to Nano Soma Africa for putting this together. It's been very informative. I will put together a link so that those who want a copy of this, there's so much information shared. I'm going to give the link to Nano Soma Africa so you can email them from their website, and then they'll be able to give it to the doctors as well. I know I've got a few members from Connecting Consciousness who are unable to make the call this evening, but they were very excited to hear about all the information and about the product that we've actually all been talking about all year. And we're very excited that it has landed on our shores in South Africa. And judging by all the testimonials, it is doing exactly what we are all looking for. Maybe we can stop picking pine needles and boiling them on our stoves and licking snails and all other strange things that we are getting up to rid ourselves of spike proteins and whatever else we think is or isn't out there. This sounds like it's going to be really amazing for everybody. So thank you everybody for joining us, and yes, hope to see you on the other side of Connecting Consciousness, or wherever else we meet again. Thank you so much to everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Viv.
Viv, thank you so much.